Number 3. Sam and Frodo's gayness. Okay, now let me make one thing perfectly clear before anyone has a heart attack. If Sam and Frodo were actually gay in the story, I wouldn't care. Hell, it'd be cool. Maybe they'd be the first gay characters in fantasy. Openly gay, anyway. But that's not what bothers me. What bothers me is that the intention was not to show the power of love, it was meant to show the power of friendship. Having a friendship and being in love are two different things. There's the love you share for a person you have an attraction for and want to live the rest of your life with, but there's also the love for a determined person who will always have your back and be by your side. And the reason that bugs me is that this relationship, while I do believe unintentionally makes them look more romantic than friendly, is that it's obvious Tolkien wanted to show the strength of friendship, for reasons of nobility and caring rather than lust or romance. Lust and romance is fine, and we see it everywhere in big epic stories. But that's not what this is about. This is about two people who care for each other as the closest of companions. And truth be told, there's only a few popular stories I can think of that really dive into that. You don't often see two people of the same gender who give up their life for the other just for the reason of friendship. If it's opposite genders, fuck it, almost always hook up by the end of the story. So that's why I think it's more important that a friendship element was played up more than a romantic one. And again, I don't think it was intentional, but it's still hard to ignore that it comes off that way. And so much of that comes from just how friggin' lame these lines are. Let's just look at some of these scenes again.
Frodo was really courageous, wasn't he, Dad?
Yes, my boy. The most famousest of hobbits. And that's saying a lot.
You've left out one of the chief characters. Samwise the Brave. I want to hear more about Sam.
Frodo wouldn't have got far without Sam.
Now, Mr. Frodo, you shouldn't make fun. I was being serious.
So was I.
I'm just waiting for Gollum to roll his eyes and say,
"Oh Christ, just propose already!"
And even the friendship/romance doesn't always make sense. Frodo sends Sam away because he thinks he ate the last of the lambus bread. Fair enough, he's possessed by the rings and being manipulated by Gollum, but Sam actually starts to oblige until he makes this little discovery. What exactly is he supposed to realize there? So I didn't eat it! Wouldn't his return have been a lot more powerful if they didn't show this scene? If Sam just said, fuck it, he's my friend, I'm gonna go and fight for him anyway? That would have been a lot more noble. But no, he had to realize that he didn't eat the bread that he realized already he didn't eat. Huh? Like I said, I don't think it was intentional, but the more cheesy these scenes are played out, the more you can't help but think of a corny romantic novel. So you can't act surprised at the comparisons. And I think we all know there's plenty of those. Granted, at the end, the relationship does work. Sam gets married, Frodo goes on his own path, and they do share a connection you legitimately believe in. Just maybe you believe in it a little more than what was intended.
I can't carry it for you. But I can carry you!
Number 2. Sarah... who? There is no doubt that the biggest fuck you to a character came when Saruman, the only human villain you had throughout any of these movies, was completely left out of Return of the King. What the hell? He doesn't even make an appearance, a wave goodbye, or anything. He just doesn't show up. This is the guy that was the center of the poster in the last film. Your major villain second to only that giant eye thingy. And he doesn't even get a little wave goodbye? What a ripoff. Now, in one sense, you could make the argument that Sauron is really the villain, so you don't need to spend a ton of time with Saruman anyway. But there's two big problems with this. One, the excuse that they give is not to go after him. That he's too harmless now to do any real damage. Fucking what?
Well, let's just have his head and be done with it.
No. He has no power anymore.
The filth of Saruman is washing away.
Yeah, he's learned his lesson. I mean, come on, what are the chances of an ancient evil that we don't kill all the way possibly coming back and biting us in the eye? That doesn't count, he's an eye! And second, they had a perfectly good scene of him shot and edited already. Yeah, if you go to the extended edition, it's right there, right at the very beginning. It ties up all loose ends. The connection between him and Grimer, a final send-off between him and Gandalf, and yes, they don't just ignore the big evil genius who could obviously cause trouble later. He's killed off. And in a pretty cool way, I might add. Well, I'm sure he can survive that. Maybe not. I guess this scene was cut for time, which normally I would understand for a film this long. You don't want to overstay your welcome. But it's the second scene in the movie! Nobody's gonna be bored by the first few minutes! Really? Do you think anyone was gonna watch this and be like, oh, this first 2 minutes isn't grabbing me. I'm sure the next 3 hours will be more eventful. God, if it's a time issue, why didn't you shorten one of the other cajillion endings that you had? That's where people started to bitch and moan. They didn't need to know every single detail that went on after the war was over. But we did need to know what happened to one of your biggest villains in the entire film series. Of course, we always want to see the bad guy get the short end of the stick in the end. But next time, try letting us actually see it. Because that short end of the stick can impale pretty nicely.
Hey Gandalf, do you still have that 2-for-1 coupon that could get you an extra life at the pearly gates? Sorry, already used it. No crud.
And the #1 dumbest Lord of the Rings moment is... those eagles that could have stopped everything. Everyone in the world brings it up, and of course, so am I. Why don't these creatures of awesomeness just fly over Mount Doom and drop the ring off themselves? It's obvious that if they wanted to win this war quickly and more logically, they would have used these damn things from the beginning. And every excuse that people throw out in terms of the movie never holds water. Oh, well, they're eagle gods who don't want to get involved in our world affairs. Well, that doesn't stop them from interfering 1, 2, and now 3 times in all of this. Well, they wouldn't be able to get very far. The evils of Mordor are just too great. Oh, I don't know, they made it to the gate. They seem to be fighting off those ring wraith things pretty good. And even if they didn't, you could have Gandalf nightlight reflect them off like he did before. It doesn't seem like Mordor has very many of those evil flying things. Well, much like Gandalf, they would have been tempted to use it themselves and become evil in the process. For what, a 2-hour flight? If Frodo can resist for days on end, I think all the wise spirit gods can hold out as well. And shit, how the hell are they gonna put that ring on their claw anyway? Well, they stick out too much. A sneak attack makes much more sense in the grand scheme of things. Really? Because how many times do Sam and Frodo get spotted, captured, and injured? For every day it takes them to walk on foot, thousands of lives are probably being lost. Let's face it, people, it's only by pure fucking luck that this plan worked at all. Even Gandalf, several times in the movie, acknowledges this was probably the dumbest strategy they've ever come up with.
I've sent him to his death.
Oh, why the hell did I do this? I should have used the eagles.
I think all of us know how the ending of this film really should have gone down. Let's go back to that scenario we demonstrated before.
I have a token. I was
Legolas.
The dwarves say Merry Christmas, motherfucker!
Whiskey. Even the series How It Should Have Ended gave their take on this.
Well, that was incredibly easy.
Yes, it was.
Can you imagine what it would be like if we had walked the entire way? Don't be silly.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? That's ridiculous.
You can make up whatever excuse you want, you can say that some way or another this was the right thing to do, but for me, this is by far the dumbest Lord of the Rings moment. Now let's count down the most awesome Lord of the Rings moments. Oh wait, we can't, because there's too fucking many! Despite these problems, and I'm sure even more that exist, it doesn't change the fact that Lord of the Rings is one of the best film trilogies of all time. It gave so much, it changed so much, and as much as we like to poke fun of it, there's still just too much to like about it. As for me, I'm off to partake in the ancient Middle-earth art of dwarf tipping. I'm the nostalgia critic guy, remember? So you don't have to.
Salted pork.
Oh.
shall handle this.
You missed.